Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first ever Firetime edX event. Tonight will be an evening of education and celebration, and the whole Firetime team feels so glad and so grateful that you're here. Thank you for spending your Saturday night at the expo with us. We'll do our very best not to disappoint. And speaking of gratitude, it's only appropriate that we begin the evening by thanking our network partners and event sponsors. Striven, Ray Murray, Associated Energy Systems, Northeast Distribution, and Wi-Fi. This event wouldn't have happened without their generous support, and the entire Firetime community, including all of us seated here, truly appreciate their investment into our industry. So many, many thanks, and please join me in giving them a round of applause. Of course, the support of these generous sponsors and other network partners makes all of the work that the Firetime Network does possible. Our mission is to give hearth retailers like you the tools you need to succeed and to bring our industry together through media, through education, through consulting, and through community. Because a rising tide lifts all boats. We're convinced that the market has changed, and we will only survive by working together. If you want to learn more about our free media, including our weekly podcast, digital magazine, printed journal, and audio articles, you can scan the QR code on the first page of your program at the very top. This code will also give you more information about our educational programs, consulting packages, and free online community. Again, the vast majority of these resources are available to all of you at no cost because of the generous support of our sponsors. So I'd like to take a moment and name all of our current sponsors for 2023, including those, again, who sponsored the event tonight. AES, ICC, Blaze King, Empire Comfort Systems, HPBA, Cozy Heat, MF Fire, NFI, Northeast Distribution, Ray Murray, Striven, Stuve, Travis Industries, UBG, and Wi-Fi. As I read that list, which feels really long when you're standing in front of a bunch of people, it is amazing the support that we have in this industry. And so again, I'd like to give these sponsors a round of applause to thank them for their generous donations to our movement. Thank you. Now, if you'd like to join these companies and support the Firetime Network, there are three main ways that you can do that. You can partner with us, you can contribute to our publications, or you can share what we have created collectively with others. First, you can commit to improving the industry we all love by financially supporting our mission. If you'd like to learn about the edX partner specials that we have going on, you can find those on the first page of your program, and there are different sections for manufacturers and distributors and retailers. Please see the middle QR code on your program, the first page of your program, for that information. The second thing you can do is contribute. You know, all of the content produced by the Firetime Network is provided by people in our industry who are willing to step up and lead with their inspiring, insightful voices. And here's the thing. We're always looking for more. So if you have some content that you'd like to publish in the Firetime magazine or in the Firetime journal, we strongly encourage you to scan the QR code at the bottom of the first page of your program and complete a contributor application. Lastly, and most simply, the third thing you can do is share our content. This is a simple yet powerful way to grow and develop the industry we all love. Now, if you want to see more events like the one you're attending tonight, please consider supporting the Firetime Network in one of these three ways. Remember, the only way we can move forward is together, and every single bit of support matters to our movement and to our mission. Now that we've acknowledged all the people and groups who've made it possible for us to be here tonight, I'd like to give you a little more information about the order of events. As it says on the front cover of your program, tonight's theme is the past, the present, the future, moving forward together. As such, we're going to kick things off by celebrating the many legacy makers of our industry and then welcoming the new HPBA president. Following that, we'll hear from our three keynote speakers, Grant Falco, Brandi Biswell, and Tim Reed. And after each of their talks, we'll have some time for guided discussion with the people who are sitting around us. Finally, we'll conclude the night by announcing the winners of the edX Challenge and handing out some cold, hard cash. And so, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Grant Falco to the stage, who's going to honor our legacy makers here tonight.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Thank you. So, I was born in this industry. I've been in this industry my entire life, and I owe the industry my life. It's provided so much. We want to take a moment and express our gratitude and appreciation to all of you who have decided your lives are in this industry. Many of you have been here for decades, and I admire each and every one of you. I admire you for your hard work, your dedication, and your commitment. As I look around this room, I am reminded of how special this industry is and how fortunate we are to be a part of it. But as many of you know, we often don't realize how special something is until it's gone. We don't always take the time to show our appreciation for the people who have made a significant impact in our lives and careers. That's why we're here today. We're here to celebrate, honor, and pay respect to the people that have paved the road we stand on. We're here to say thank you to the individuals who have made this industry what it is. It would not be here. We would not be able to do this unless there was 50 years of road laid and lines painted and cities built, it seems like. I know many of you have been in this industry for a long time, and I want to recognize and acknowledge that you guys built this. So I'm going to ask you to stand up. If you've been in industry for 10 years or more, please stand up. I can't see a thing. It sounds like a lot of people are standing up. I mean, when I was putting this together, I was like, wait, how long have I been in the industry? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's 20 years. Like, that's crazy. Happens fast. Well, thank you for everybody that has been here for 10 years. How about 15? Still, not a lot of people sat down, it seems like. How about 20? Like 2 sat down. Amazing. Okay, let's go to 25 years. Okay, we're getting there. Let's go to 30. Wow. I'm going to stop there. I think we might go for a while. Yeah, everybody around it. It truly is amazing. For everybody that stood up, for everybody that's here, it's truly amazing. Tim and I have some people that we want to just acknowledge real quick that have made a huge impact on our lives. Whether it's 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or right now, we want to acknowledge everyone, but we just aren't able to. The entire industry has given so much that we feel like we have to name everybody, but Jerry and Cheryl Eisenhower, thank you for what you do. It's pretty incredible. A round of applause, I think. Alan Murphy and Chris Neufeld. Appreciate you guys. Malcolm Fisher, compact appliances. And last but not least, the other TR, Tim Ruthlick. Thank you. Your hard working and passion have brought us to where we are today, and we cannot thank you enough for your contributions. As we look to our future, it's time for two generations to come together and work collaboratively to continue building upon the foundation that has been laid. We must honor and learn the legacy makers of the past while embracing new ideas and innovation from the rising generation. We must strive to create an inclusive environment where everyone's contributions are valued and where we can work together towards a shared vision of success. It is through the collective efforts of both generations that we can create a brighter future together. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. It's gonna be fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Grant. Now, in addition to honoring our industry's past, we also obviously tonight want to look forward to the future. As such, please join me to welcoming Tim Reed to the stage, who's going to talk to us about our new HPBA president.
Man, it's so cool to hear Grant just, ask those questions. He's been serving 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. We truly have an amazing industry. For me, my story might be like you guys. I was 18 years old, playing guitar in a failing punk rock band. And my father-in-law, he was my father-in-law yet, but he called me up and he said, I need help installing a wood insert. And that was it. And almost 20 years later, that the industry has been very good to me. And it's just so cool to celebrate the people that have paved the way for folks who are coming in. So we don't take that lightly, and we wanted to take that time tonight. I wanted especially to highlight the work that Jack has done with his time as the president of HPBA. He just recently retired at the end of the year, and I had the pleasure of serving on the board with Jack for a little while. And I feel like in the work that the HPBA does, it's often a thankless task. It's fighting for government affairs, which is frankly a pretty far-reaching thing, especially for retailers. Often government affairs is something that is years away, multiple years away. So for retailers, sometimes it's hard to support the HPBA and say, well, I'm just trying to meet my payroll next month. Why do I need to show up at this city council meeting? But truly, the reason that we have an industry is because of the work that the HPBA has done, continuing to try to bring us together and try to have some coherence to allow us to thrive together. And so Jack couldn't be here today. I called him and asked if he could, and he was occupied with some other things. But for those of you that are in this room right now, I would love it if you could just put your hands together for the HPBA and for the work that they've done in the past, and specifically just to celebrate Jack's retirement. That it's amazing that he served so faithfully for over 20 years. So let's give it up for Jack. Now with that, I don't know how many of you guys have had the pleasure of meeting Jill McClure. So she's been recently hired. She's here at the trade show. And I have had 2 Zoom calls with Jill leading up to the trade show. And man, I've been so impressed right out of the gate. I mean, the first thing I realized is this woman is an absolute straight shooter. Cards on the table and no pretense and just wanting to get things done. And I think that that's super, super cool. I think that for our industry, we, for a long time, have been very protective. We have been even tight-fisted in some ways with the way that we've held on to information and the way that we have just been very, very wary to share with others. And that can be natural, especially in a business world, as you're in the early stages of growing a business, you're fighting tooth and nail for every single victory, And there comes a point where the foundation's been laid. And it's no longer about scrapping and scrapping and scrapping, trying to keep everybody else out, holding on to everything that's mine. It's now about building on a foundation. And for me personally, I have been so excited to see what Jill's done. I've talked to a number of other people in the industry. And as a team at the Firetime Network, we felt like it was just very fitting just to kind of publicly honor her and say that we are really, really excited for what she's going to bring to the table. I hope you guys are too. So let's give it up for Jill McClure coming in as the HPBA president, all right? So with that, we have a series of talks that are coming up, and our layout, Matt will talk about this in a second, is that you're going to hear a presentation, and then there's going to be a couple of questions. And our hope is that this is something you can discuss with each other, because each of these topics is incredibly relevant. Our industry is standing at a fulcrum point. We're at the edge. And right now, this transition from Jack to Jill is really like almost like a symbolic manifestation of like what is actually happening with our industry now. And so our hope is that these next 3 talks make you think about what are we going to do in the future? How are we going to operate with this new workforce in place? And how are we going to start bringing our products to the customer versus the other way around? So Matt will come back up and introduce the first speaker, but thank you guys.
Thanks, Tim. Now that we've honored the past and looked toward the future, it's time for the main event of the evening, our 3 speakers. First up, we have Grant Falco, whose keynote is called Unleash the Power of Grit and Empathy. Grant is the co-owner of Falco Spokane, where he works with a team of 35 team members to run one of the premier hearth shops in the United States. Specializing in fireplaces, grills, and HVAC, Falco's has more than doubled in size since Grant took over in 2013. His attention to the details of business, and his huge heart for service have helped him grow his team members and his company's profits. For the last 5 years, Grant has taught businesses nationwide how to manage their teams by setting clear expectations and creating repeatable systems. Please join me again in welcoming Grant Falco to the stage with a warm round of applause.
That was very nice. When I was 10 years old, my dad surprised me by taking me on a trip to Portland. I was really excited, but I was a little nervous. I mean, my dad worked hard. I mean, he sacrificed time with his family, right? So I was a little nervous to spend 8 hours going to Portland with my dad, but I was super excited. As we hit the road, he talked about how his grandpa started our family business, a fruit stand, in 1928. He talked about how that fruit stand transitioned to a nursery. When I came in the business, it was a nursery. He talked about all the landscaping projects he started at such a young age. I remember he spoke with a particular spirit. It was just the look he had. I could see the pride on his face as he talked about the work he did. I didn't understand it. For him, the business was more than just selling plants. It was about making a difference in our community and in people's lives. As we approached the nursery the following morning, after a short stint in the hotel, I noticed my dad was staring down a neatly stacked row of nursery products. He was driving, but he was looking that way at that nursery. And I remember thinking, what is he looking at? I could see that he had the determination in his eyes. And when he had the determination like that, I didn't know if it was good or bad. I didn't understand the situation. He kept staring at this pile of plants. I didn't really know what was up, but I saw that dad look. You know, slightly red in the face, bugged out eyes, and that vein that just immediately pops out when he gets upset. I saw that, so I didn't think it was going to be good. What I learned, he barely had the truck in park before he was out the door. As the door closed, I heard him shouting. A few minutes later, he opens the door with that smile smirk he has, And he said, son, let's get to work. Now, our family decided long ago to do business a little bit differently. We were a nursery. Most nurseries would order the product, someone else would pick it up, bring it to them. Not my family. They didn't want someone else to pick out their product, load their product, and then transport their product back to the nursery. No way. Instead, they did the obvious thing. They bought a truck. They bought a trailer. They drove to Portland. They walked the aisles and handpicked every plant, every shrub, every tree. The best products, of course, they drove to Portland to pick out the best products. No one else would. It was for the community. What I learned is that to be better took a commitment. It took accepting that it wasn't going to be easy ever. We started picking out all the nursery products, hauling them to the truck. We loaded them up carefully, organized all of it, and we were ready to go. But if anybody knows my dad, he was going to maximize the trip. I mean, we packed that truck and trailer. I mean, it was Tetris with care. I shouldn't say this, but we navigated Oregon and Washington State in and out of the river, avoiding certain way stations, like we were running from someone. What was cool to see, though, was that by the time we were leaving, my dad turned a tense situation into a positive experience. That nursery staff that he was yelling at, we were laughing and we were joking on the way out. I wasn't. I was ready for bed. As we drove back home, exhausted, of course, I now realize my dad's success wasn't just due to hard work. It was the combination of hard work with the mission of doing the right thing, whatever that is to you. The right thing is that vision that you commit to. I know that if I want to be like him, and I do, I too will need to master the balancing act of deploying grit just at the right times. Things were starting to look a little familiar as we approached Spokane. I saw her turn up ahead, and then I saw it go. It was right then I realized, oh my gosh, we're unloading the truck tonight. That day, my dad showed grit. He showed me grit. I didn't know it then. Not too much, not too little, just enough. As a small business owner, I know firsthand that running a business is never easy. It takes hard work, dedication, and a willingness to persevere through challenges and setbacks. Time out. Challenges and setbacks do not do it justice at what we deal with, what we feel like at 3 o'clock when something happens. I feel it. I know what you guys go through. I know what we all go through, every small business owner. In order to persevere those setbacks and challenges, or whatever the proper word is for it, it takes grit. Grit is determination, passion to push through those situations, even when things get tough. It's the willingness to keep going when others, your competition, might give up. Grit is having a clear sense of purpose, a mission. As small business owners, we all have the desire to make a positive impact on our communities and our industry. By staying focused on our mission, the impact we want to make, we can tap into the power of grit to overcome the challenges and achieve success. Having a mission provides greater sense of meaning and it helps us stay motivated and committed even when the going gets tough. By embracing grit and staying focused on our purpose, we can achieve our goals and making a lasting impact in our industry. The story I shared about my dad and the journey shows the determination, picking out the product, buying a truck. I mean, there's nothing grittier than making a decision to do something hard because it's the right thing. Grit requires a willingness to go above and beyond what is expected and to do things differently. Don't just nod your head. Understand it. Ask questions. Understanding is a huge part of it. As small business owners, we all face challenges and obstacles along the way, but by embracing grit, we can stand out from the competition, achieve our goals, and make a lasting impact in our industry. I often think about waking up in the middle of the night after flying home early from the 2020 New Orleans Expo. As I woke up, I remember thinking, oh, that was just a nightmare. Like all of you, I felt like everything we had worked so hard for was just being taken away from us, literally like right in front of our faces and overnight. And I worked hard. What the heck? Like, it was crazy. As I realized it wasn't a nightmare, I also realized that in the position I'm in, I'm the one that has to respond. I had to do something. I couldn't get back to sleep. So I got up. I recorded a 13-minute video. I remember it was 13 minutes, and it was the first take. I discussed how scared I was. That I was pissed. But I was past the sad, the scared, and the pissed, and I was just gonna get after it. I wasn't gonna sulk, and they weren't either. I'm gonna show up and we will figure this out, was the mission and the whole backing of that video. On Monday, I sat in front of them, above on the mezzanine, which was so weird just because we had to follow COVID protocol. And I made a statement that we are gonna be stronger than ever coming out of this, and we're gonna do everything to keep our team intact. There was so much unknown that keeping our team intact was the ultimate priority and really garnered the ultimate buy-in. I was telling this story on a Fire Time happy hour call, passionately, because I can get that way, especially when it's topics I love or hate. When Jerry Eisenhower interrupted me, and he goes, Grant, you faced heading into this current situation with drive, determination, and gusto. You have decided you will not let this current situation drag you down. It has fired you up. What I want to know is how much gunpowder do you consume at breakfast every morning? And I say that because so often I get these compliments, and so often I think, this was a compliment, yes, but not for me. For my dad, for my family. It was developed in me. It was ingrained in me. I mean, even no matter how much I fought it, that's who I had to be because those are the examples that I had. It had been 6 years since my last trip to Portland with my dad. Life had changed a ton in the 6 years. I was 10 and then 16. This time I was traveling with my mom, who made it a priority to make every single soccer game. And I played a lot of soccer. She made every single one, rain or shine. Smile on her face, her 2 other kids in tow. Even when it was snowing, she would be there. Our fireplace company had grown significantly, and my dad was busier than ever. So splitting his time between the nursery and the booming fireplace business just was difficult. Soccer was my sport, was my passion. I loved it. I was naturally gifted at it and just enjoyed it. I'd played it since I was 4. It came natural to me, but that year, my sophomore year of high school, I struggled. I struggled a ton. I kind of found myself after my freshman year getting cocky. I lost focus. It just wasn't me, but that's how I was acting. My play represented that, and I even got more frustrated and more frustrated. I was unable to process how badly I was playing, and I was just thinking, overthinking, so much so that I tried not to care, but I did, despite my struggles. My mom showed me specific empathy and grace, sprinkled in with a little grit. She managed our family, the constant travel, the other soccer parents, my dad, our business, all while supporting me like no one was ever around. This trip to Portland literally changed my life, and she doesn't even know it. After a game where I played bad, again, I kind of lost it. I got pulled out 20 minutes before the end of the game. That's not good. I played every game from start to finish up to that point. I was devastated. It seems silly now, but I was devastated. I was embarrassed. I remember not even being able to process it and just having to get out of there. I sat in the field next to me, next to our field, kind of overtucked behind the goal, with my head between my knees. My mom found me, of course, sitting alone and sulking. With my siblings right there, she got down to my level and spoke words that changed my life forever. She basically said, "This is not who you are. This is not the man I raised. You need to pick your head up. You need to realize the value you bring. Nothing has changed except for you. Grant, people have it worse than you. So please do not let your good fortune go to waste." My mom's leadership style, and I can kind of see her face right now, smirking, leader, what? Was selfless and compassionate. Every weekend, she committed to taking us to soccer tournaments, always putting our needs before hers. I didn't realize it then, but her empathy was a driving force behind her leadership approach. She prepared us, supported us, allowed for failures, built us up, and then moved on to the next person, always with a focus on others. As I look back on that trip to Portland with my mom, I'm reminded of her unwavering support and her ability to lead with empathy, to truly put everyone else before herself every single time. Her approach to leading our family is the approach I attempt to take in our business today. Being a mom is the ultimate leadership position. And if we paid attention, they could teach us everything we need to know. They have more grit than words can describe, but they make that grit with empathy, and that is what she did and continues to do still to this day. I'm a mama's boy, and I'm proud to be. Since then, my life has had this whisper following me around everywhere. I am realizing that it is probably my mom's advice, always guiding me, helping me understand when to deploy grit and empathy. I was a better player after that trip to Portland. It helped. It wasn't me. I went on to play college soccer, and I was lucky enough to set the Washington State high school scoring record in a single season. But I was also a better person. And I carried her words with me to this day to be the best GM, dad, husband, brother, and of course, son that I can be. Alfred Adler said, "Empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another." Yep, that's my mom. Grit alone is not enough to stop, and too much grit can devastate your business. Business leaders need empathy to balance out that grit, to give the grit meaning, and to connect with employees, customers, and vendors. I mean, now more than ever. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, to see things from their perspective, and to respond compassionately and understandingly. Leaders who demonstrate empathy can create a culture of trust, respect, and collaboration with other businesses. This is critical for attracting and retaining talent, building a loyal customer base, and achieving a long-term success. Empathy is especially important in today's world, where many employees seek a sense of purpose and fulfillment that maybe we don't understand. Business leaders who show empathy create a workplace culture that values well-being and supports the personal and professional growth. In small business, that's hard to do. This in turn can lead to greater employees, greater engagement, productivity, and job satisfaction. Empathy is essential for building strong relationships with employees, customers, and vendors. This is essential in building a successful business. Understanding their needs, motivations, and perspectives can help business leaders tailor their products and their services to meet their customers' needs as well as their employees. 4.5 years ago, my wife and I traveled to Portland. It was for a Evisys conference, a business software conference. It was the first one I had attended, and we were excited to get away from the family. We had 2 kids at the time, and we were still learning. It was time we got away. We were excited to take a break, learn about the latest developments. Just before leaving to pick up my wife for the airport, disaster struck. One installer quit, then another, and another. All 3 were best friends who had been approached by a contractor on a new construction job and been propositioned to install countertops. It was a huge blow, to say the least, especially since most of our revenue went through the installation department. We were only 7 working days away from their departure when I was set to arrive back in town, and it was headed into our busiest season and our most profitable. I agonized over what to do. I knew my team was counting on me to find a solution, and I couldn't let them down again. At the same time, I didn't want this to ruin my wife's first weekend getaway since our kids were born. I thought back to my mom's tireless commitment to our family and realized my wife is doing the exact same thing right now. That night, I woke up again with a sense of determination that did not allow me to go to sleep. I knew I had to approach this challenge with empathy and grit. I put myself in the team's shoes and worked tirelessly to find a solution that would not solve just the immediate problem, but solve this problem so I didn't have to deal with it again. I quickly put together a 6-week installation training program that we still use today. I called on former installers, one was a salesperson, one was doing some service now, to come back in, hire 2 people each, and train the heck out of them. I incentivized them to get involved, knowing their expertise was essential for my success. It was difficult. I wanted to give up, but I didn't. I was determined to make it work because that's what our team deserved. Through this experience, I learned the importance of empathy and grit in leadership. As a leader, it's not just about finding solutions, but also about showing my team that I understand the impact of the problem and I can help them mitigate it permanently. This experience changed the way I interact with my install team and made me a better leader. It changed me completely. It was 2018 August, and it was a life changer. In the end, we overcame that challenge and emerged stronger as a team. I have been blessed with amazing examples all through my life. My grandparents, my aunts and uncles, cousins, they're all business owners. My wife, our 4 kids are all under 8. They've been sick for 6 months. I'm serious. And she's home alone with them, so I can be here. That is grit and empathy. She's a saint. I love you, Andrea. We all have it in us, but are we tapping into it? Stop worrying about how smart you are. Stop worrying about like if you went to school or not. Like, are we tapping into what we have? Do as Louis and Christy Falco have. Never give up. Always focus on what's important and love those around you. And that includes all of us. It's really not that hard. Think about it. Are you taking every opportunity to find grit within? Are you even thinking about empathy at all? Don't let the fast years go to our heads. Don't be like me. Going into my sophomore year, we've done a great job, but the next few years will require more grit and empathy than ever before. The combination of grit and empathy give you the ability to do great things. Now here's the secret. Grit and empathy work both ways. You give it and you'll get it. You'll get it back more and more and more. Trust me.
Thanks, Grant, for those powerful stories. At this time, we're going to take about 3 to 5 minutes to have some guided discussion just with the people around us about 2 key questions that connect back to Grant's talk. The first one is, based on Grant's talk, how can you use grit and empathy to improve communication and collaboration on your team? And secondly, how can you use grit and empathy to improve your customer service? So to distill them down, question 1, how can you use grit and empathy to build your team? And question 2, how can you use those to improve your customer service? So go ahead and have conversation amongst yourselves for the next 3 to 5 minutes, and we'll transition into the next talk. Thank you for that amazing conversation, and thank you again, Grant, for sharing your powerful stories. Before we transition to our next event, I'd like to let you know that you can get more content from Grant and Tim by purchasing the Firetime Digital Workshop. This workshop walks you through the 10-step execution process that these two have developed and takes you through seven different video modules with Tim and Grant. You also get a Firetime workshop workbook and an execution guide to apply this framework particularly to your business. Normally, this particular workshop costs $1,500, but tonight only, you can get it for just $500, and you can share it with your entire team. If you're at all interested in that, just scan the QR code next to the edX specials portion of your program to learn more. Next up, and I'm so excited about this, we have Brandi Biswell, whose talk is entitled Adapt to a New Generation of Workers. Brandi owns and operates Flues Brothers Chimney Service with her husband, Jeremy, in Kansas City. She balances raising teenagers and running the business with fulfilling her role as a coach, consultant, and trainer with CVC Success Group. After spending 16 years in the healthcare industry, which is amazing, Brandi brought the same methods and processes she used as a nurse to her business. Today, Brandi teaches business leaders all across North America how to invest in their people and create processes that last. So please join me in welcoming Brandi to the stage.
Thank you, Matt. I do have to piggyback on one thing Grant said real quickly, and that is that I just want to thank Jerry and Cheryl Eisenhower. As a part of the CVC Success team, I can tell you that they've taken me under their wing and mentor me and continue to mentor me every day. I also want to thank Grant and Tim for inviting me here to speak, and the entire Firetime team. I've had the privilege of seeing the back end of things today, and let me tell you, these guys have been working tirelessly for you guys, and they're so giving of their time and their information. So I just want to thank them. So when I left the healthcare field 10 years ago to come help my husband in the business, I had to do a lot of adapting. And I remember that one of the first things I did was start interviewing for chimney sweeps, chimney technicians. And one of the first guys I interviewed for, he came in wearing coveralls. Now, I came from the world, if you're gonna come for an interview, you wear a suit, or at least dress slacks, maybe a cardigan. I really liked the guy. He did a great job during his interview, but I was having a very hard time getting past the coveralls. So I let him go. I told my husband, he was great, but I just couldn't get past the coveralls. And he said, he kind of laughed and said, Brandi, you're gonna have to do a lot of adapting in this industry. So I called the guy back for a second interview. What do you think he was wearing? The same coveralls, not even coveralls, the same coveralls. Now, never being one to mince words, I just asked him, can you tell me why you thought it was appropriate to wear coveralls for an interview? And he said, sure. I was always taught that you dress for the position that you're applying for. I thought maybe as a chimney technician, you would wear coveralls. I loved his answer, hired him. In fact, I would go on to interview and hire other technicians after him that did come in wearing a suit or cardigan. And guess what? They never worked out. For the first time in US history, we have 5 generations in the workforce. This has never happened before. 10 years ago, I was mostly hiring millennials. Now I'm mostly hiring Gen Zers. Now I kind of consider myself an expert on Gen Zers because as you heard, I have teenagers. I have a 16-year-old daughter and a son who'll turn 19 in about 48 hours. So I feel like an expert. They're always teaching me the new language, bougie and slay. I'm still trying to figure out the whole slay thing. Our son, we have a family group line, and he texted and said that he had a big test coming up and could we pray for him? And my daughter said, you will slay it. So I thought, okay, it must mean kill it, maybe, right? And then today I texted them a picture of me in the dressing room, and my daughter goes, slay. And I'm like, maybe it doesn't mean kill it. I don't know what it means. So to give you an idea of how this generation uses social media, I want to take you back to 1913. This is when the Stanley Company was invented. In 1913, they invented the Stanley Hydro Flask. Now, at this time, it was revolutionary technology. They used it to transport human organs, bull semen, if you can believe it or not, and the fighter pilots in World War II carried along with them in their B-17 bombers. I remember the Stanley because growing up, my grandfather had the green hammer tone one. I always hated that color. And he would fill it up in the morning, full to the brim with coffee before heading out on the tractor to do his field work for the day. Over the years, Stanley would be acquired and bought, change hands, but they never really had anything too innovative. They were very well known among campers, the working class, the adventurers. Fast forward to 2016, and they invented the Adventure Quencher, a tumbler. Raise your hand if you've seen the Stanley tumbler. Yes, yep, a few of you. Those of you that don't, you must not have teenagers. So they put this on their website, started advertising it. In 2017, 3 women of the Buyer's Guide caught onto this and started advertising it and selling it on their e-commerce website. Every time they would link to it, it would sell out. Well, come 2019, Stanley wasn't seeing much traffic on its website for this tumbler, so they decided they were going to discontinue it. Well, of course, the Buyer's Guide got wind of this, and they asked to sit down and have a meeting with Stanley. So they went to their headquarters and sat down and told them about Instagram and TikTok influencers and how they could be making a lot of money off these tumblers. Stanley really wasn't buying it. They were very hesitant. They relayed how they hadn't seen much traffic, but they were able to convince them that if they would let them buy them, provide affiliate marketing links to other popular influencers, that they could sell them. Fast forward to 2021, a year later, and their sales were up 275%. That's the power of social media. To give you a personal story about it, back in November, my family took a trip to Utah. We had to fly into Las Vegas first. So we flew into Vegas, and my daughter is just begging to go to this donut shop. I'm like, how do you know about a donut shop in Vegas? Do you have some secret life I don't know about? No, Mom, it's all over TikTok and Instagram. All my friends follow it. So we pull up to this donut shop. We had not accounted for the time difference from Utah to Las Vegas. And so we were there an hour early. So I'm thinking, great, she's not going to want to wait around. We're going to get out of this. Not only did she not want to wait around, or wanted to wait around, she said, hey, can we get out and get in line? And I'm like, no, it's freezing out there. And she said, Mom, I promise you the line is going to be wrapped around the building by the time they open in an hour. And there were already 4 people in line. So wanting to be a good mom, I put on my coat. Fine, I'll go get in line with you. We're standing in line, and sure enough, as that hour's going by, the line is continuing to grow and grow and grow. Now, I want to know what all these people find so great about these donuts. I mean, it's a donut. How great can it be? So I'm talking to them. Turns out all of them are much like us. They're all traveling, many from other states. They all have teenage daughters, and they're all buying a box of these extremely expensive donuts, $63 for a dozen, that they're then going to have to carry back on their laps on the way home. Now, don't get me wrong. The presentation of these donuts was like nothing I'd ever seen. So we get in line, we get our donut. I take the first bite, and I'm thinking, this is going to be the best donut I've ever had in my life, apparently. It was meh. I watch for my daughter's reaction, because obviously she's going to love it. She kind of tries to pretend that she likes it. A couple hours later, we're doing some shopping, waiting on our flight, and she decides she's going to trash the donuts. She doesn't want to carry them on her lap, and they weren't really that great. She's like, I don't understand. Well, I understood. It's the power of social media. In fact, last week she sent me a video. This same donut shop, the owner is genius, made a Taylor Swift donut because Taylor Swift is going to be in town next week. My husband's actually taking our daughter there to Vegas to see Taylor Swift. So she put on Instagram and TikTok this donut of Taylor and said, hey guys, how do you think we can get Taylor to see our donut? Now, if you know anything about Taylor Swift, any city she visits, she loves on her fans, and she tries to go and see fans. It's genius. Of course she's going to probably go to this donut shop. I don't think my husband realizes yet, but he's probably going to have to pitch a tent outside the thing. Not to mention, all these teenagers are going to want to go buy the donuts. So, as we look at that and we look at the power of social media, we have to think, what What is influencing these generations, the generations that of the millennials and Gen Z, sorry. What is their big driver? What's important to them? Well, the research tells us that they want work-life balance, like none we've ever seen. I'm from the lost generation, also the smallest generation. And so we're more a bit of a workaholic, but this generation wants work-life balance. If you ask the Gen Zers what they want to be when they grow up, they'll tell you that they want to be social media influencers. They also want ample PTO. I actually had a talk with a guy at the trade show this morning about this, about the myths behind unlimited PTO. They may get married, but they're honestly okay just to start a family and hold off on marriage or not get married. Very different from the generations that have come before us. To better understand the generations, we have to understand that world events shape every generation. My great aunt, when she passed away, we had to be very careful cleaning out her house. Everywhere we turned, inside books, inside vents, inside the kitchen dishes, there was money turning up. I couldn't understand it. Well, she'd lived through the Great Depression. She didn't trust banks, so she hid the money all over the house. For my generation, I remember being in second grade, and if you remember those gigantic TVs and then the big TV carts, and they would wheel it into the classroom, and we were so excited to watch the Challenger. And unfortunately, we know how that ended. For the millennials, it was 9/11. They woke up one morning to a world that was no longer safe. This is the reason why they seek safety in the workplace. For the Gen Zers, it was COVID. They missed out on all the major milestones of their life: graduation, school dances, school trips. My son was 48 hours from going to New York with his theater class to see a bunch of shows on Broadway. He was going to turn 16 while he was there. And most of these kids had scrimped and saved so that they could pay for this trip on their own. And it was canceled 48 hours prior due to COVID. Now, neuroscience tells us that missing out on these life events have real consequences in the world. These are stressful events for them, and they will come back to haunt us if not addressed. So we're already seeing early research that shows Gen Zers have trouble adapting in the workplace. They experience more stress and more anxiety. Now, critics who don't believe in the science or choose not to believe in the science will tell you that this is the snowflake generation. But we actually know that's not true. We know that if not addressed, this generation will have increased absenteeism, decreased productivity. So we must figure out a way to work with them and address it. These younger generations are fantastic on the apps, and there's an app out there for everything these days. I personally love apps, but I'm still learning a lot of them. I'm still trying to learn TikTok. Growing up in my house, our lives revolved around the national news. 5:30 Central Time, my dad had to be in front of the TV for the national news. He wanted it no other way. If we had a school program, we better hope it was after that because he was not missing the national news. To this day, that's his thing. The younger generations, they don't trust the news, or they find it too sad. They'd rather get their news from YouTube, Twitter. On Reddit's website, they advertise a place for authentic connection, which is kind of funny because you're an anonymous user on Reddit. But let me tell you what, if you're messing up in the workplace, the younger generation will let all of Reddit know it. Now, the cool thing about Reddit is this can be a great place to advertise your business, especially if you're in one of the niche industries such as ourselves. TikTok is another big one I've been trying to learn. Luckily, I do have all those millennials and Gen Zers that work for me, so I can just hand them my phone and tell them to do it for me. But this is a great place to show your company's unique personality. I actually have a client who did a video of their technicians washing all the work trucks and put it to the music at the car wash. Fantastic, so fun to watch. I envy them, I'm trying to be them. When I go to the doctor now, I don't have to take off work to rush into the doctor. I just hop on an app on my phone. I can see them right there from my office. All I have to do is let the pharmacy know that I need my prescription delivered, and I never had to miss work for that. Recently, we subscribed to the Walmart app, if you didn't know they had one. And so now I can walk into the Walmart neighborhood market and just scan my item, bag it right there, and then walk out. It's actually kind of comical because there's always this huge line of people. So I kind of walk out waving, bye, goodbye. Oh, sorry, you didn't know about the app, did you? Sorry about that. In my company, we use the Microsoft To-Do app. This is great because every Wednesday morning we have a staff meeting. We can keep track of a list of items in real time that we want to put on there throughout the week. And then Wednesday morning comes and we can actually assign the task to whoever's going to be responsible for it and put a due date. We also use it in our household. We use it for our grocery list, for example. I always know my kids are on it when I'm at the grocery store, and all of a sudden I see like ice cream, cookies, chips popping up on the list. So that's always fun. So my challenge for you tonight is to think about how can you best utilize this generation? Do you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Because let me tell you, if you have a fixed mindset, you're going to be left behind. So you better think about getting a growth mindset. Utilize this generation. I want you to ask yourself some questions. Do I provide healthcare for my employees? Is there a flexible work schedule I could offer? Maybe a 4-day work week, maybe more PTO. Most health insurance programs actually offer employee assistance programs already. You're already paying for it. You just have to ask. But this way, your employees can have access to mental health and other perks. Excuse me. What other advantages could you be taking of with this generation? What else could you be doing? Are you providing a solid orientation program? Research tells us that if you can give a great orientation program that is structured, your employees will stay with you longer. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average life cycle for an employee is 4.1 years. Now here's the bad news. That number drops to 2.8 years if you're in the service industry or the trades. So that's the bad news for us. What else can you be taking advantage of out there? Have you talked to your employees? Are you being proactive or are you being reactive? What I mean by that is if you're being proactive, you're doing stay interviews. If you haven't done stay interviews, I have a whole podcast on it, go listen. A stay interview, though, is something that you're doing while your employees are there to see what keeps them there, what makes them happy, rather than being reactive and doing exit interviews when it's already too late and the candidate's already got their foot out the door. So my challenge for you tonight is to think about a way that you can go home and take advantage of this new generation. They are our future. They are what's going to take us into the future. I often work with clients and I hear them playing a victim or a martyr. Oh, but Brandi, I can't find anybody to hire. No one shows up for their interview. This younger generation, they don't want to work. If you have that mindset, that is what you're going to attract, and that will be the downfall of your company. I leave you tonight with a quote from Aries Spears. In order to sustain longevity, we must evolve. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandi. Again, just a couple of minutes of guided discussion. First question, what's holding you back from using technology and the unique skill set of the younger generations? And what could you do when you return home from this trip to start positively transforming your business by engaging that younger generation and using technology? So just 3 to 5 minutes to discuss those. What's holding you back and what are some positive changes you could make upon your return? Thank you. Before we move on to our last speaker, I'd just like to thank Brandi and all of our contributors again for creating such incredible content. All of you received a free copy of the 2023 Firetime Journal this evening, and her article, How to Build a Stellar Support Staff, is incredible, as well as all the other articles in that collection. As I mentioned before, if you'd like to become a contributor to any of our written publications, we're always looking for new contributors, and you can do that by scanning the QR code in the contributor portion of your edX program. Finally, tonight, we have a keynote from Tim Reed called Respond to the Market or Capitulate to Irrelevance. Super subtle Tim Reed title. Tim Reed is the president of Wi-Fi, which makes sales process software that helps hearth companies take control of their businesses and see incredible results. Tim has been invited all over North America to teach companies how to market effectively and make it easy for customers to buy from them. His weekly Firetime podcast has become the resource for our industry, and it's actively helping thousands of people rethink their paradigms so they can grow their businesses in a changing landscape. Please put your hands together for Tim Reed and welcome him to the stage.
In the year 2000, Blockbuster Video had the opportunity to buy a small fledgling company called Netflix. And they chose not to. Now, there's a serious problem in our industry. And it's that the market has changed, but we haven't. And you can tell me about the incredible fireplaces that are being designed. You know, custom sizes, multi-sided, incredible logs, incredible decorative fronts. You can tell me all about that. You can tell me how we're getting into the outdoors, fire pits and burners. We're winning these amazing awards for the things that we're doing. You can talk to me about electric fireplaces, how we're pushing into new technologies like ethanol and water vapor and screen technology to make electric fireplaces absolutely amazing. You can tell me about all of that. But the market has changed, and our industry has not. If you think about this, over the last 10 years, we have seen a profound shift in business models. From bringing the customer to the product, to taking the product to the customer. If you think about this, what has Uber done over the last 10 years that's completely disrupted the cab industry? It's a really simple concept. They bring the car to you. So no one ever again has to go stand out in the rain. I live in Portland, Oregon. It's rainy. And I never have to go stand in the rain, waiting on a cab. Instead, me or whoever the Uber customer is can hang out inside the restaurant, have another beverage with their spouse or their friends, and the car comes to them on their terms. It's a really simple concept. And that concept of not forcing the customer to come to you, but bringing your products to the customer has forever changed our behavior with that industry. But it's not just Uber. We see this all over the place. Amazon Prime. Show of hands, anyone here have Amazon Prime? Oh, a couple of you guys, dang. What's Amazon Prime done? They've invested in bringing the product to the consumer in 2 days. I mean, it's 3 days. Oh my gosh, what are we doing with our lives? Gone are the days of, 6 to 8 weeks for shipping and handling. Amazon Prime has made the investment to bring the product to the consumer. You can go down the list, DoorDash. Think about what DoorDash has done during the pandemic. And it used to be that when you were hungry at work, you'd leave the office, go drive to wherever you were going to eat food, get something to eat, come back to the office, and totally disrupt your day. DoorDash has come alongside and made it very easy to bring the product to you. And this is true for local grocery stores that offer online ordering, curbside pickup. This is true for so many companies, even companies who can't physically bring their products to a customer. I mean, literally for this trip in Louisville, me and my wife were taking some people out to dinner the other night, and we had to find a restaurant. We were able to go on the internet, look at different restaurants, find the kind of food that we wanted, look at the menu, look at their seating capacity, and we were actually able to be sold on the product from our house, even though it was not physically possible for that restaurant to bring themselves to us. But digitally, they were able to bring their product to us as the consumer. You see what I'm saying? The market has changed, and we cannot deny this fact. For those of you here, raise your hands. How many of you took some kind of an Uber or Lyft, mobile transportation, through an app that came to you in your travels here? Our own behavior proves it. Over the last 10 years, the market has changed from a model where we force the customer to come to us to where companies that win are bringing their product to the customer. Our behavior just proved that. But I would argue over the last 10 years, our industry has largely stagnated, forcing customers to continue to come to us, not changing our business model to adapt to where the market is going, not responding to the market. Almost as if to say, no, regardless of what everyone else is doing, no, you still have to come to us. Because that's the way that we like it, that's where we're comfortable. You got to come to us. That's what we have done over the last 10 years. I mean, I see this especially with manufacturers that as more and more chimney companies are trying to get into the hearth appliance space, the manufacturers denying sales to chimney companies because God forbid their business model is primarily based on bringing the product to the customer, right? Versus the other way around. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a showroom or you should only have a mobile company. I'm not saying those things. Both those business models are very, very good. But what I'm saying is our industry largely has not responded to the market and made the shift to bring our products to the customer. So how do we do that? How do we respond to the market and start to listen to what our customers want and make it easy for them to do business with us? I think it starts in 3 places. I think it starts with our marketing, our websites, and finally our showrooms. When we talk about marketing in our industry, we need marketing that is crystal clear and connected to a larger sales funnel. In today's world, people are so distracted. They're getting hit with thousands and thousands and thousands of ads per day. And unless the marketing is incredibly specific and targeted and cut straight for that customer, it's not going to break through. It's just white noise. In addition to that, our marketing needs to be connected. The marketing initiatives that our industry needs to put together have to be part of a bigger sales funnel. How does this piece of marketing connect to the next step in the sales process? If a customer's at this point, how does our next step of marketing move them here? Our marketing has to create leads. Targeted, specific leads. That's what marketing in our industry needs to do. And a lot of our marketing doesn't do that. A lot of our marketing is very disconnected. It's not part of any bigger sales funnel. What we want is marketing that produces a lead. And once we have that lead, we want to be able to use email marketing and automation to be able to send that customer testimonials, reviews that we've gotten on Google, videos of the amazing care our installers take of the customer's home, things that matter to that customer to solve their specific problem. We need at every encounter with the customer to bring our products to them through our marketing and show them how we can make it easier than anyone else. If our marketing doesn't do that, at best it's ignored, and at worst it's disdained. Now, most marketing in our industry is not like this at all. Most marketing in our industry is a random, just throw it at the wall, see if it sticks, clever catchphrase that some smart person, I guess, invented. And the purpose of that catchphrase is to be really clever and creative and bring the customer into the showroom and maybe they'll buy something. But this should be terrifying. If you're like a manufacturer in our industry, this kind of marketing should be terrifying. Because marketing like this might cause somebody to come into a showroom just to buy somebody else's fireplace. I see this happen all the time. And it's because the marketing is not specific to this customer. In our marketing, we have to be very, very clear on the problems that we solve for our customer. It's not just that they want a fireplace. How is our fireplace going to help them? We don't just show them an inspiration picture. We need to ask, how can we explain that this will solve their problem and we can make it easy to bring the product to them? This is what our marketing needs to do. What problem is it that our customers have? What's the solution that we offer for that specific problem, for that specific customer? What's the solution that we offer? And how can we call customers to action to take another step in a connected sales funnel? So this marketing doesn't just die on the vine. It leads to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. This is the shift that we need to make if we want to start bringing our products to the customer. A marketing ad for everyone is a marketing ad for no one. I was in North Carolina a couple weeks ago, and I saw a restaurant. And this restaurant had a big sign on the front that said, "A restaurant for everyone." And I'm thinking, that is one place I do not want to eat, right? I mean, oh man. So like you've got Thai food and hamburgers. No, you specialize in pizza too. Man, I'm sure it's really, really good. No. Seth Godin, marketing guru. He says the key to understanding marketing is to understand this phrase. People like us do things like this. Our marketing has to find that customer and say, oh, if you're one of us, we can help you. If you're not one of us, that is fine. There's other companies that can help you. But if you are like us, then this is the way that we do it, and we can help you. In addition to our marketing, our industry needs to take a hard look at our websites if we're going to bring our product to the customer. And on every single one of our websites, we need to answer the 2 questions that every customer has. The 2 questions every customer has. Question number 1, which option will work in my space? And question number 2, how much is it going to cost? Our websites have to answer these questions. Retailers and manufacturers, they have to answer them. And we can talk about the difficulty. I'm not saying this is easy, but I'm saying it's necessary. Imagine that you were shopping for a car and you went to the local dealer's website and you started looking at cars. And you clicked on the model to find the price, and instead of giving you a price, it said, come on down to our showroom. We'll put together a custom estimate just for you. I mean, is anyone going to go to that car lot? No way. No way. We're not going to do that. And we've lied to ourselves thinking that products don't get sold online. I mean, it is staggering, the number of fireplaces that are sold online every year. It's staggering. The numbers that were reported as of a couple years ago were north of 50%. So it's up to us. Are we going to do it? Or are we going to have customers just go somewhere else? It's easier. So on top of this, though, when we talk about helping a customer on our website understand the options that could work for them, the way that many websites in our industry are organized now is by really helpful terms that customers are super familiar with. You might have heard of these terms. Zero clearance. Our customers know exactly what this is. Zero clearance, insert, vent-free, gas log. This is how we organize our websites, with terms that don't make sense to our customers. So why would we do that? If we speak French and our customer speaks English, why would we have a website in French, right? We need simple ways to filter our products with language that the customer understands, so that when they're on our website, they can clearly find out which options could work in my space. That's the shift that we need to make. Every single company that's going to survive in the future, that's the shift that we need to make. But it doesn't stop there. When we talk about pricing, we have to show pricing on our websites. We have to give the customer the ability to at least get a price range. That's fine. Customized for their project. And I'm not saying this is easy. I'm saying it's necessary. Some companies believe that offering a starting at price or a fireplace-only price is the way to do this. Checks the box. But think about this. Again, imagine that you're shopping for a car and you look online and you see that the price of this vehicle is $15,000. And maybe that's in your budget. So you go and you drive down to the local car lot and you look at the car and you sit down, you start writing it up, just to tell you it costs $25,000. And you're like, what? And they go, oh, well, the price online, it didn't include the engine. And it didn't include the hood of the car. And it's really needed for all cars, but everyone's a little bit different. And so we just put the base price of the car. I mean, wouldn't that be infuriating as a customer? It'd be infuriating. We need to set our websites up to answer the two questions that every customer has. Which products will work in my space? And number two, how much it will cost. Now, when you combine this with marketing, something powerful starts to happen because you start to get qualified leads. All of a sudden, your company starts to be easier to do business with, even than the folks that are purely just selling online, because you have a local presence. You can take care of them. That matters to a customer, but not at the expense of an extremely difficult purchase. By us rethinking about the way our websites are built, we start making customers see that, oh, it's actually easier to do business locally, and the trust that you've worked to build with your brand can now be leveraged. But that's not going to happen if the customer has to drive every single step of the sale. You with me? So the third thing is our showrooms. When it comes to our showrooms, what we have to realize is because our showrooms take effort to go to, we have to overcommit to making it easy for our customers and being gracious to them. Now, our business model, just to clarify this, I'm not saying that our companies have to become like Amazon. We have to remove all the humanity from it and just transact purely online for convenience only. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that the market has changed and we have not. And we have to think about how we respond to this. So in our showrooms, we need to realize that our showroom is probably the last stop this customer is going to go to. Gone are the days of someone going to 3-4 stores on average. That's not the average customer. There's a couple. That's not the average customer. When a customer comes into our showroom, we have one shot. And that doesn't mean to close it and get the money, but it means we have one shot for them to believe that we can actually solve their problem and start moving forward with it. And we have to be prepared for the rest of the steps to take place either in their house or over the internet. But what this means is that we need to invest into an intentional sales process. When we don't have an intentional sales process, it makes life really, really difficult for our customers. When we don't have an intentional sales process, someone in the company might say, this is how I do it, but there's no shared sense of this is how we do it. In much of my time in the industry, I've seen over and over again that companies don't believe they can actually commit to this. Well, no, I can't make robots. We can't have a sales process. I mean, no, the way that we train people, they just sit next to Bob, and they just listen, and eventually they just pick it up. And I'm telling you, like, that doesn't work. That does not work. I mean, listen to what Brandi just talked about the new generation of workers. Like, that doesn't invest in them. That doesn't train them. And so, of course, people quit because they're not being poured into. But when we have an intentional sales process, when we say, this is how we do it, now we can get better. And what a sales process does is it does not remove the humanity from a team member and make him a robot. A sales process paints lines on the basketball court so we know what game we're playing. We know what's in bounds and out of bounds. And it allows us to actually get better. So whatever the sales process is, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Every company needs an intentional way to move customers from A to B. And the companies that do this are the companies that are going to win. As we have an intentional process to move customers from A to B, all of a sudden we can train to it. All of a sudden we can practice it. And all of a sudden, we become the easiest option. Now, in the sales process, we have to be radically clear at every step of the way. Our process needs to show customers how we will bring the product to them, whatever that looks like. Whether that's Zoom calls after hours, whether that is in-home appointments, whether that is making a 3D model of your showroom for customers to look at, whatever it looks like, at every step of the way, we need to try to bring our products to the customer. Because if we don't do that, if we just do it the old-fashioned way, where they come in, we'll ask them some questions, maybe we'll write up an in-home visit and just see what happens. I mean, like, yeah, you'll stumble your way into a couple sales, but man, I mean, that's not a sustainable model for the future, especially if you want to pass your company on to somebody else, especially if you want to be able to sell your business or bring the next generation up into it. You have to have a business to sell them, right? If all the knowledge is just between one person's ears, it doesn't work. A few years ago, I was in the Midwest and I was secret shopping. And I went into a business, and this was no slouch business. They sold terrific products, and they were a very, very high-level dealer for the products that they sold. And so I was secret shopping, and the salesperson, after I came in, he said, so do you have a masonry or a stove that you're looking to get? And we started looking at gas inserts. That was basically the only question that was asked. Started looking at gas inserts, and I've been shown one model, and the next model, and the next model, and the next model. We're going all over the showroom, just kind of ping-ponging everywhere. And because there's no sales process for this person to understand my problem, they had to show me everything because they didn't know what my problem was. And eventually, we're 25 minutes in. I just kept nodding and smiling, and I can tell this guy's running out of steam. How many more products do I have to show this guy? Well, eventually, it starts to get pretty awkward, runs out of things to say. And he looks at me, and he goes, so what's the next step? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, you're the salesperson. Shouldn't you know what the next step is? Like, I wanted to scream that. And I wish I could say this is abnormal, but it's not. This is not abnormal. And what happens is, it's not that this is a bad person. It's not that this guy didn't know anything about fireplaces. It's that he was not taught a sales process to how to move a customer from A to B. We've seen the market change over the last 10 years. Our products have to get easier. We have to start moving towards the customer on their terms through our marketing, through our websites, and through our showroom. Now, in the year 2000, Blockbuster Video had the opportunity to buy a small, fledgling company called Netflix. You may have heard of that company. But Blockbuster chose not to, believing that their existing business model, where they forced customers to come to them, and they had a great showroom, beautiful displays, knowledgeable staff, and customer service. They believed that that model would prove true over bringing the product to the customer. For those of us who decide to do nothing, who look at all this change and decide to just sit and run it back again and be complacent, for those companies, the writing's on the wall. And you may spin your gears for a while in different directions, grasping for something to save you, just hoping one day that magic salesperson comes in, hoping that just one day someone will come in and buy the business. But eventually, those companies will capitulate to irrelevance. But that doesn't have to be our story. That doesn't have to be our story. We can start taking our products to the consumer. And we can actually fix the broken sales funnel that's been handed to us. We can ride this wave of disruption and we can prevail. And we can actually take the baton that's been handed to us and we can carry our industry forward. Because the market's changed. And our industry can too. In the year 2000, Blockbuster Video had the opportunity to buy a small, fledgling company called Netflix. And they chose not to. They chose comfort and complacency over responding to where the market was going. Will we? Thank you.
Okay, so now for our guided discussion questions. Again, why is it so important to respond to the market right now, today? And number two, how can distributors and manufacturers help retailers bring products to customers? So why is it so important to respond to the market right now? And what can distributors and manufacturers do to help retailers bring products to customers? Just 3 to 5 minutes on that. Thank you. Well, thank you again, Tim, for that awesome talk. And thank you, all of you, for being here tonight. If you're a manufacturer or distributor and you enjoyed tonight's speakers, please consider becoming an advertising partner of the Firetime Network. And tonight, we have several amazing specials going on for our advertising partners, including great discounts on our ads for 2024 Firetime Journal. You can learn more about those advertising opportunities by scanning the AdX specials in the first page of your program. And now, to conclude our event, we're going to welcome to the stage one final time Tim Reed and Grant Falco. They wear many different hats, as you can see, as they're going to announce the winners of the edX Challenge and hand out the prizes. So, guys, take it over.
Well, first off, hey, thank you to Matt Bradley for hosting this event. Can we give it up for Matt? That was
Great
phenomenal.
job, Matt.
You guys might have recognized that voice as the voice of the audio articles in the Firetime magazine, Mr. Matt Bradley.
And Christy here is the intro voice.
Yeah, that's right, and the graphic designer. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, give it up for Christy. And actually, as we do this, I want to invite Brandi back out on the stage too. Why don't you come out, Brandi? So this is a really special night for us. We had a ton of fun. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you taking the time to consider this and talk about it. Now, we had a challenge at the expo today. It's the Firetime edX Challenge, and people were scanning QR codes all over the showroom, doing different things, talking to people, and every single time, points got added to their profile, and we have 3 prizes to give away. First prize is $500 cash.
Nice.
A Firetime digital workshop, which is $1,500. It's an 8-hour workshop with different modules of improving your business, and Firetime socks and a Firetime journal. That's first prize. Second prize is a Firetime digital workshop, valued at $1,500, 2 Yeti Ramblers, Firetime socks, and a Firetime journal. Third prize is $100 cash. Hey, third prize ain't bad. $100 cash. Firetime socks and a Firetime journal. Don't worry, we got you. So what we're gonna do is this. We're gonna announce the winners, and afterwards, if you come up to the stage, we'll get you your cash. Please, whoever wins, follow them to the bar afterwards. They'll probably be buying a round or two. And in first place is Mike James. Give it up for Mike. Give it up for Mike. Mike James, good job. And I'm not joking. This was a come-from-behind victory.
Yeah.
It was a come-from-behind victory.
We just checked it.
Yeah. In second place is Taylor Tolbard. You get a Firetime
Nice
workshop.
job, Taylor.
And in third place, Rob Wilson. So guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. We don't take it lightly. This is how you're spending your Saturday night. Man, our industry is at a turning point, and our hope is that the content today helps you guys think about your business and grow it, because we can do this together, right? The foundation that's been laid by the legacy makers is incredible, and we have the ability to do them the honor of carrying it forward. So thanks for being here. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.